9. Stoic principles. So that nothing can affect you. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like the world is just too much? Like no matter what you do, things keep getting in your way. Maybe it's work stress, a tough relationship, or just the constant flood of negativity that we're all exposed to these days. It's like life keeps throwing punches, and sometimes you don't even know how to fight back. But what if I told you there's a way to live that's almost immune to all that chaos? What if I told you there's a way to protect your peace of mind, no matter what happens around you? Sounds like a superpower, right? But it's not. It's an ancient philosophy called Stoicism. And today I'm going to show you how to apply 9 Stoic principles to your life so that nothing can shake your emotional balance again. Now I know what you're thinking. Stoicism? Isn't that just some old-school philosophy from ancient Greece? And you'd be right. But here's the thing. Stoicism is more relevant today than it ever was. It's not just about intellectual debates or dusty books. It's about mastering your mind in a world that's constantly trying to control it. Imagine this. You're hit with a setback, something that would normally make you feel frustrated, anxious, or maybe even angry. Now picture this. Instead of spiraling, you stay calm, centered, and unaffected. No drama, no stress. Just clear-headed, calm, and in control. Sounds amazing, right? Look, we all deal with life's ups and downs. It's a given. But what if you could respond to those challenges in a way that doesn't throw you off course? That's what Stoicism offers. It's about making peace with the fact that life is messy, unpredictable, and, let's face it, out of our control most of the time. But there's a powerful truth in that. While we can't control what happens, we can control how we react to it. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through 9 Stoic principles that will help you navigate the chaos of life with emotional strength, wisdom, and grace. By the end, you'll have the tools to handle anything life throws your way and keep your inner peace intact. And trust me, if you've ever felt overwhelmed, stuck, or just exhausted from trying to manage everything outside of you, then this video is for you. So, grab a seat, clear your mind, and get ready to learn how to master your emotions, gain unshakable control, and ultimately live a life where nothing, I mean nothing, can affect you. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Part 1. The first principle. Recognize what you can control. All right, let's jump into the first Stoic principle. It's as simple as it is powerful. Recognize what you can control. This is the bedrock of Stoicism, the foundation of everything else. The Stoics believed that life is full of uncontrollable forces. You can't control other people, the weather, or even the outcome of your best efforts. But here's the kicker. What you can control is your response to those things. In other words, while you can't control the world, you can control how you choose to react to it. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it best. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Personal insight. Let me be real with you. This principle hit me hard when I first discovered it. There was a time in my life when I used to spend hours stressing about things that were completely out of my control. Whether it was the way someone else treated me, the outcomes of projects I couldn't influence, or even things like global events or politics, it was all a constant source of stress. And you know what? The more I stressed about it, the more I felt like I was spiraling. I was trying to control everything around me, and it just made me feel completely powerless. Sound familiar? Here's the breakthrough moment for me. I realized that I could choose to focus my energy on what I could control. I could control my actions, my mindset, and how I engaged with the world. Suddenly, a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Takeaways for viewers. If you're feeling overwhelmed, this is the first thing I want you to do. Ask yourself this question. Can I control this situation, or am I trying to control something outside of my reach? When you recognize what's in your power, it completely shifts your perspective. Instead of wasting your energy on things you can't change, you can put your focus on what you can do. You can decide how you respond, how you grow, and how you make the most of what's in your control. Here's a practical tip. Whenever you're feeling stressed or anxious, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what's within my control here? What's not? Then focus only on the things you can change. When you start doing this regularly, you'll realize just how much mental energy you've been wasting on things outside your control, and how much power you have to create a calm, purposeful life. Relatable perspective. This principle isn't about being passive or giving up on things that matter. It's about prioritizing where your energy goes. You're not meant to fight every battle, only the ones that you can actually influence. And by doing that, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of worrying about things you can't control. It's a game changer. Part 2, the second principle. Accept what happens, don't resist it. All right, let's move on to the second principle. Accept what happens, don't resist it. Life, as you probably already know, doesn't always go the way we want it to. Plans fall apart, people let us down, things go wrong, and it can be frustrating. But here's the Stoic twist. Instead of resisting or fighting reality, accept it. Now don't confuse acceptance with passivity. Stoics aren't suggesting you just sit back and let life steamroll you. What they're saying is that when things go wrong, when life throws you a curveball, accept it as it is. The more you fight what is happening, the more you prolong your suffering. The more you resist, the more power you give to that thing you're resisting. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor, once wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." Personal insight. I'll be honest, this principle took me a little longer to internalize. I was that person who tried to fix everything. If something went wrong, I would immediately try to change it, or fight against it, almost as if the universe was working against me. I remember a particular time when a job I was hoping for fell through at the last minute. I was devastated. I was angry at myself for not being good enough and upset with the situation. It felt like a massive setback, and I resisted it completely. I wasted days, even weeks, feeling bad about it and trying to force things to go my way. But after diving deeper into Stoicism, I realized that my resistance to what had happened was causing more suffering than the event itself. The job wasn't coming back. It was out of my control. So, I started to accept it. I asked myself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this moment? And that acceptance led to an unexpected breakthrough. I began to focus on other opportunities, and eventually found something that was even better for me. Takeaways for viewers. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the emotional burden of fighting against what is. When you accept things as they are, you free yourself from the need to control the uncontrollable. This doesn't mean you can't take action or make changes. It just means you stop resisting what's beyond your power. Here's a challenge. The next time something doesn't go the way you want, try this. Instead of getting frustrated, pause and ask yourself, what if I accepted this exactly as it is? What can I learn from this moment? You'll find that acceptance doesn't take away your power. It actually gives you more of it. Relatable perspective. We're all going to face setbacks. That's part of life. But the key is how we respond to them. If you can train yourself to accept what happens and find the lesson or the opportunity in it, you'll move through life with so much more peace and ease. So, remember this. Life is going to throw curveballs. That's guaranteed. But when you stop resisting, you'll find that you can navigate those challenges with much more grace and clarity. Part 3. The third principle. Visualize your fears. Premeditatio malorum. All right, let's move on to the third principle. Visualize your fears, or in Stoic terms, premeditatio malorum. Now this one might sound a little counterintuitive. Why would you want to think about all the bad things that could happen? Shouldn't you focus on the positive? Well, hear me out. The Stoics believed in anticipating adversity before it even happens. Instead of waiting for life to throw a curveball and reacting in panic, visualize those challenges ahead of time. Imagine the worst-case scenario. Think about the discomfort, the failure, the loss, and then make peace with it. By confronting the worst that could happen, you'll realize that you can handle it. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When we avoid thinking about potential setbacks, we create unnecessary fear and anxiety. But when we face our fears head-on, we disarm them. Personal insight. I used to be the type of person who would avoid thinking about negative outcomes altogether. I'd push them away, thinking, if I don't think about it, it won't happen. But I quickly realized that this just made the fear even bigger in my mind. The more I avoided it, the more I feared it. The first time I really practiced this principle was when I was about to do something completely new, a big presentation at work. My fear was crippling. I could already see myself stumbling, forgetting my words, and looking foolish in front of everyone. But instead of pushing those thoughts away, I sat down and actively visualized them. I imagined everything going wrong, my nervousness, the awkward pauses, even the possible embarrassment. Here's the twist. After fully visualizing the worst-case scenario, I didn't feel powerless. In fact, it calmed me down. I realized that even if the worst happened, I could recover. The anxiety melted away because I had already accepted that reality. Takeaways for viewers. Here's your action step. The next time you're facing something scary, whether it's a big decision, a difficult conversation, or something you've been avoiding, take a few moments to visualize the worst-case scenario. Imagine it, feel it, and then ask yourself, if this happens, what's the worst that could really happen? How would I deal with it? What you'll find is that when you accept the worst, you're no longer ruled by fear. You'll realize that, no matter what, you'll be okay. And if the worst doesn't happen, then you've just freed yourself from unnecessary worry. Relatable perspective. Think about how much energy we waste worrying about what might happen. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I lose everything? These worries can paralyze us, but when you visualize those fears, you see them for what they really are, just thoughts, not truths. Once you realize that, you can face the actual challenge with confidence and clarity. Part 4. The fourth principle, embrace adversity, amor fati. Now let's talk about something that might sound a little radical. Embrace adversity, or in Stoic terms, amor fati. which means love of fate. This principle is all about flipping the way you think about hardship. Instead of seeing obstacles or adversity as things to avoid, Stoics encourage us to embrace them, love them. Because here's the truth: every challenge is an opportunity to grow. The Stoics believed that life is constantly changing, and that includes facing adversity. In fact, they saw difficulty and hardship as essential to becoming stronger, wiser, and more virtuous. It's not just about accepting tough times, it's about actively loving them for what they can teach you. Friedrich Nietzsche, who was heavily influenced by Stoicism, famously said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." The Stoics would add, "That which challenges us helps us grow." Personal insight. I'll be the first to admit, embracing adversity is not always easy. There was a time in my life when I dreaded challenges. I would resist anything uncomfortable, anything unfamiliar. But when I started diving into Stoic principles, I realized how much resistance I was putting out into the world. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I faced a major setback in my career. It felt like everything I had worked toward was crumbling. At first, I was frustrated and angry. I wanted to push it all away. But then I remembered this Stoic principle: amor fati. I decided to stop resisting the situation and instead embrace it. I asked myself, what can I learn from this? And once I shifted my perspective, I realized that this challenge was pushing me in a new direction, one I hadn't even considered before. It was uncomfortable, yes, but it was also an opportunity to grow in ways I hadn't expected. By embracing adversity, I found new strength, resilience, and even a sense of gratitude for the challenge. Takeaways for viewers. Here's your action step for this principle. The next time you face a setback, challenge, or obstacle, try this. Instead of wishing it away, ask yourself, what's the opportunity here? What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? The key here is not to ignore your feelings or pretend that adversity is fun. But try to see it as a teacher, something that's here to help you grow. Every obstacle you face is an opportunity to build your character, develop resilience, and move toward a better version of yourself. Relatable perspective. When you change the way you see adversity, it no longer feels like an enemy. It becomes a tool, something that sharpens you, teaches you, and helps you get better. Life's challenges aren't setbacks. They're the stepping stones to personal growth. Part 5. The fifth principle. Master your emotions. All right, let's move on to one of the most challenging, but also the most rewarding principles. Master your emotions. Now, this doesn't mean suppressing how you feel or pretending you're not upset when something goes wrong. That's not what the Stoics taught. What they believed is that our emotions don't have to control us. When we experience anger, sadness, fear, or even excitement, we don't have to let those feelings drive our actions. Instead, we can observe them, understand them, and then choose how to respond. Epictetus put it this way: it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. This means that it's not what happens to us that creates our emotional response. It's how we interpret those events. And if we can shift that interpretation, we can shift our emotional state. Personal insight. I'll admit, this was not easy for me at first. There was a time when I let my emotions dictate every decision I made. If someone upset me, I'd snap back immediately. If something didn't go as planned, I'd dwell on it for days. My emotions were running the show and I felt out of control. But then I started practicing this principle. I began paying closer attention to those moments when anger, fear, or frustration would bubble up. I didn't try to push them away or deny them. I simply noticed them. I asked myself, why am I feeling this way? Is this emotion helping me or hurting me right now? At first it was tough, but over time I found that I could pause. I didn't have to react immediately. That pause made all the difference. Instead of letting my emotions lead me into impulsive decisions, I was able to choose a more measured, thoughtful response. Takeaways for viewers. Here's something you can try. The next time you feel a strong emotion coming on, anger, fear, sadness, pause. Just for a moment. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's really causing this feeling? How would I like to respond? Remember, this isn't about denying your emotions. It's about not being controlled by them. When you can observe your feelings without getting swept away by them, you'll start to notice that you have far more control over your inner world than you ever thought possible. Relatable perspective. We all feel overwhelmed by emotions sometimes. That's just part of being human. But what Stoicism teaches us is that we have a choice. We don't have to let our emotions run wild. We can learn to understand them, manage them, and respond to them in a way that brings us peace. Part 6. The sixth principle. Live according to nature. Now, let's talk about a principle that can sound a bit abstract at first, but is actually incredibly grounding. Live according to nature. What does that mean, exactly? Well, for the Stoics, nature didn't just mean the natural world, the trees, the mountains, the seasons. It also meant the natural order of life. They believed that everything, including us, is part of a greater whole. And if we live in harmony with that larger system, we'll find peace. At its core, this principle is about accepting the way things are and understanding your place in the world. It's about recognizing that life follows a certain rhythm. Seasons change. People change. Circumstances change. The Stoics believed that when you align yourself with that flow, rather than resisting it, you'll experience far less frustration and far more peace. Personal insight. This principle really resonated with me when I started noticing how much energy I spent fighting the natural course of things. For example, I used to get so frustrated when plans fell through or when people didn't act the way I expected. I would think, why can't things just go the way they're supposed to? But then I realized, who am I to decide how things should go? Life doesn't follow my plan. It follows its own course. And the more I tried to force it, the more resistance I felt. When I began embracing this idea, living according to nature, I started letting go of that resistance. I stopped expecting everything to fit into my own version of perfect, and began to appreciate the way things unfold. The irony is, when you stop trying to force things, you actually find more freedom. Takeaways for viewers. Here's a simple way to start living according to nature. The next time you feel like something isn't going the way you want, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can control, or is it just the natural flow of life? If it's outside your control, let it be. Recognize that life has its seasons. Good times, hard times, times of change. When you stop resisting and start flowing with it, you'll find more peace, more resilience, and a deeper appreciation for the journey. Relatable perspective. Living according to nature is about accepting that life is a mix of highs and lows, of growth and decay. It's not about giving up. It's about working with the rhythm of life instead of against it. When you align yourself with that rhythm, you'll find that even the challenges have a place in the bigger picture. Part 7. The seventh principle. Be present in the moment. Now let's talk about a principle that's both simple and incredibly profound. Be present in the moment. The Stoics understood that most of our suffering comes from worrying about what's already happened, or stressing over what might happen next. But the past is gone. The future isn't here yet. All we really have is this moment, right now. Marcus Aurelius said it beautifully. Confine yourself to the present. By fully focusing on the here and now, we're not distracted by regrets or fears. We're not caught up in an endless cycle of what-ifs and if-onlys. We can engage fully with life as it is, right now. Personal insight. This principle has been a game changer for me. I'll be honest, I used to spend a lot of time replaying past mistakes in my head. I'd dwell on conversations I wished had gone differently or decisions I regretted. And if I wasn't stuck in the past, I was obsessively planning for the future. What could go wrong, how I needed to prepare, what I had to achieve. But here's what I noticed. All that mental time traveling was stealing my joy. It was like I wasn't even living in my own life. When I started practicing being present, it felt like hitting the pause button. I began focusing on my breath, paying attention to small details around me and fully engaging with the people in front of me. Over time, I realized that so much of my anxiety and frustration was coming from not being in the moment. When I let those thoughts go and just focused on now, I felt calmer, more grounded, and more connected to what really matters. Takeaways for viewers. Here's something you can try right now. Take a deep breath and bring your attention to what's in front of you. Look around. What do you see? What do you hear? How do you feel in this moment? You don't need to fixate on the past. You don't need to obsess over the future. When you stay in the present, you'll find a sense of peace that's hard to come by when your mind is always elsewhere. The next time you feel overwhelmed, pause and remind yourself, the only thing I have to handle right now is this very moment. Relatable perspective. Life is always happening right now. The more we focus on the present, the less power the past and future have over us. By being fully present, you'll not only feel more at peace, but you'll also make better decisions and connect more deeply with the people around you. Part 8. The 8th principle. Cultivate virtue, not external success. The 8th principle takes us straight to the heart of Stoicism. Focus on cultivating virtue, not external success. In a world that constantly pushes us to chase status, wealth, and recognition, Stoicism asks us to look deeper. It asks, what kind of person are you becoming? What values are you living by? Are you acting with integrity, courage, justice, and self-control? For the Stoics, true success wasn't about how much money you had, how many followers you gained, or what title you held. True success was measured by your character, by how well you lived in accordance with virtue. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In other words, no amount of external validation can ever give you the strength that comes from living a virtuous life. Personal insight. I'll admit, I used to think success meant hitting certain milestones, getting a promotion, achieving financial stability, earning recognition from others. And while those things can be great, I started noticing something. No matter what I achieved externally, it never felt like enough. I was constantly chasing the next thing, thinking that would be the moment I finally felt fulfilled. But over time, I realized that true fulfillment came from living in alignment with my values. When I treated others with kindness, stood up for what I believed in, or practiced patience in a difficult moment, I felt a deeper sense of satisfaction than any external reward ever gave me. It's not always easy. There are times when acting virtuously might mean making choices that aren't popular or profitable. But the peace of mind that comes from knowing you did the right thing, That's something no paycheck or award can replace. Takeaways for viewers. Here's a question to ask yourself. What do you want to be remembered for? Is it the size of your bank account or the size of your heart? The number of followers you had or the number of people you helped? When you focus on cultivating virtue, on being honest, compassionate, and courageous, you'll find that the external rewards matter less and less. And ironically, you may find that the more you focus on virtue, the more good things tend to follow naturally. Relatable perspective. This principle isn't about rejecting external success. It's about putting it in perspective. It's about realizing that, in the end, who you are matters far more than what you have. So when you're faced with tough decisions, remember, choose the path of virtue. That's where true success lives. Part 9. The 9th principle. Practice self-reflection and self-examination. Now we're on to the 9th and final principle. Practice self-reflection and self-examination. The Stoics believe that to live a meaningful and virtuous life, you must constantly examine your thoughts, actions, and emotions. Without regular reflection, it's easy to get caught up in daily routines and never really understand why we do what we do. Marcus Aurelius is famous for his personal reflections, which were never intended for public view. His meditations are essentially a journal of his inner thoughts, reminders to himself about how to live, how to handle challenges, and how to remain virtuous in a world full of distractions. This principle is about taking the time to look inward. It's about asking yourself hard questions. Am I living according to my values? What did I do well today? Where could I improve tomorrow? By doing this consistently, you become more aware of your habits, your mindset, and the patterns that guide your life. Personal insight. I started journaling a few years ago, and I can honestly say it's one of the best things I've ever done for my personal growth. At first, it felt a little awkward, like, what am I supposed to write? But over time, I found a rhythm. Every night I'd jot down a few thoughts. What happened that day? What went well? What didn't? Some days, I'd write about a small victory, a time when I stayed calm under pressure, or when I showed kindness to someone who needed it. Other days, I'd admit where I'd fallen short. Maybe I'd lost my temper or let fear guide my decisions. Over time, this simple habit became a mirror. It showed me who I really was, not just who I wanted to be. And that awareness gave me the power to change. I became more intentional, more aligned with my values, and more at peace with myself. Takeaways for viewers. If you've never tried journaling or self-reflection, start small. You don't have to write pages and pages. Just take a few minutes each evening and ask yourself, what went well today? What can I do better tomorrow? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about noticing patterns, learning from them, and gradually becoming the person you want to be. When you make self-reflection a regular practice, you'll find that life becomes less overwhelming. You'll see challenges more clearly, handle emotions more gracefully, and feel more in control of your own growth. Relatable perspective. Think of it like adjusting your course on a long journey. If you never stop to check where you are, you might end up drifting way off track. But if you pause each day, even briefly, to look inward, you'll keep heading in the right direction. Self-reflection helps you navigate life with clarity and purpose. Part 10. Conclusion, tying it all together. All right, we've covered a lot. These 9 Stoic principles may seem like a lot to take in, but let's look at the big picture. What Stoicism offers us is a framework, a way of thinking and being that helps us face life's inevitable challenges with strength and calm. by recognizing what we can control, accepting what we can't, visualizing our fears, embracing adversity, mastering our emotions, living according to nature, staying present, prioritizing virtue over external success, and regularly reflecting on our actions, we build something incredibly powerful, a resilient, unshakable mind, a personal reflection on the journey. For me, these principles have been more than just ideas. They've become a way of life. That doesn't mean I'm perfect. There are still days when I struggle, when I feel frustrated or impatient. But Stoicism isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress. It's about showing up every day and practicing these principles, even if it's just a little bit at a time. When I look back on where I started, feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges, and compare it to now, I see a massive difference. These principles didn't remove the hardships, but they changed how I experience them. They've given me the tools to keep my inner peace intact, no matter what's going on around me. Takeaways for viewers. So here's what I want you to take away from this. You don't have to master all 9 principles at once. Just start with one. Maybe today you'll focus on recognizing what's in your control. Maybe tomorrow you'll practice being present. Over time, you'll find that these principles start to shape how you think, how you feel, and how you act. And remember, Stoicism isn't about shutting off your emotions or ignoring life's problems. It's about facing those problems with clarity, courage, and resilience. It's about finding peace in the chaos, strength in adversity, and freedom from the things that once controlled you. Relatable perspective. At the end of the day, Stoicism is like a compass. It doesn't guarantee that the journey will be smooth or that the road won't be bumpy. But it helps you stay on course. It helps you navigate life with integrity, purpose, and calm. So start small. Take one principle, practice it, reflect on it. And little by little, you'll build the kind of mindset that nothing, absolutely nothing, can break. Closing the journey. Stoicism isn't about becoming perfect or emotionless. It's not about shutting yourself off from the world. It's about understanding that while life will always bring challenges, you have the power to choose how you respond. It's about building a mindset that helps you stay steady when everything around you feels chaotic. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to living with clarity, courage, and peace of mind. Even if you don't see the changes immediately, trust that the practice itself is transforming you. Each time you focus on what's in your control, each time you embrace a challenge instead of resisting it, and each time you pause to reflect on your actions, you're building the foundation for a more resilient and meaningful life. Looking forward. Remember, this is a journey. The Stoics didn't reach enlightenment overnight, and neither will we. But that's okay. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. The beauty of Stoicism is that it's always there to guide us. Whether we're facing a difficult decision, coping with loss, or just trying to find a little peace in a busy day, these principles are tools we can turn to again and again. As you move forward, keep one simple idea in mind. Every moment is an opportunity. An opportunity to choose how you respond. An opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more grounded. An opportunity to live according to the values that truly matter to you. A final thought: life is unpredictable. It will challenge us, surprise us, and push us in ways we can't always foresee. But no matter what happens, remember that you are stronger than you think. You have the ability to cultivate resilience, to find meaning in the tough times, and to move through life with grace and integrity. The path isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. And by practicing these Stoic principles, you'll discover that even in the face of uncertainty, you can build a life where nothing can shake your peace of mind. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Take these principles with you. Practice them. Reflect on them, and let them guide you toward a life that's not only more resilient, but also more fulfilling and meaningful. You've got this.